Hey team, hope you're all doing well. So today's particular question is how can I run longer without stopping? Okay, it doesn't matter if you're a total beginner or a veteran of the sport, you have to make sure that you're being consistent with your training. Okay, some athletes will have to start off running 1 to 2 miles a week or during the week during their training build up before they can get to a point where they can run 3 to 7 days a week. So, in terms of how can I run longer without stopping? Without question, consistency matters. Okay, you're not going to start producing great results in this sport, whether you're training for the mile, the 800 meter, the 5K, the marathon, or the half marathon, whatever event you're training for. You have to be really patient when it comes to being a great middle to long distance runner and allow time for your body to adapt. Okay, it takes a minimum of 21 days to 4 weeks for your body to adapt to any stress you're placing on it. So you can't be in a rush to get in great shape. That's why I always preach the importance of focusing on a longer build up for your races rather than trying to cram all of your training into a short amount of time, because it does take time for your body to adapt to, even if you're totally a beginner in the sport, or maybe you're trying to run a specific time for your race, it's going to take some time for you to get to a point where you can run a long period of time without stopping. Okay. And me personally, I mean, even when I start back with my own training, over the years too, I would take usually a week or two of training time completely off, most of the time after marathons. And yeah, there were plenty of times where I would go out and I would just be jogging, and then I would stop and walk for a few minutes and then start jogging again, and then slowly build my fitness into a point where I could run for 10 minutes straight and not jog and run for a longer period of time. And then it got to a point where after I allowed my body to adapt to the workouts I was doing, then I could go out and start doing long runs, maybe 15 miles. Okay, but yes, you have to crawl before you can walk in this sport. And the faster you're trying to run a specific race in, the more that's going to be required out of you, and the more patience plays a part in terms of your fitness. If you're out of shape, if you're overweight, just be patient and don't lose enthusiasm for what you're doing. Okay, that's one of the traits I've learned, and I've tried to emulate too over the years from the athletes I've trained and lived with, is especially the Kenyans. These athletes don't they never lose enthusiasm for what they're doing. Whether they have a bad race or a bad workout, it's just they're always thinking about the next workout, the next run, the next race. Okay, keep the enjoyment for what you're doing always in your mind, because this is a middle to long distance running success is a long term approach. You have to have that type of mindset, and most people don't believe enough in delayed gratification. We all want results right now. And the problem is, most people don't realize the amount of heavy work that's involved and that's going to be required out of you in order to get the legitimate types of results that you're wanting. So, the people that are asking, how can I run longer without stopping? One, it tells me that these athletes that are asking that particular type of question are seeking excellence. They're seeking great fitness. They're trying to improve themselves. They're trying to get to a point where they don't have to stop. And just know that if you're in that particular circumstance right now, your body will adapt. The body always adapts, but you have to be consistent with your training. You have to make sure that you're not just lukewarm about what you're doing. Okay, there's either trained or there's untrained. There's not really any in between here. It's either you're going to want to run a fast time, or you're going to actually legitimately put in the heavy work in order to get that time. Okay, even when I was first starting running back in 1992, I would always look at the Kenyans and wonder what on earth are these athletes doing. And sure, they're great Ethiopians, great Americans, other athletes, Canadians, people from all over the world, Russia, China, all over the world that were running great times. But once I started in the sport, I was always first. It was like, what are the top state track athletes and cross country athletes doing that I need to be doing in order to get to a point where I don't have to stop in a workout, or I don't have to, or I can start to really get to a point where I can run a very fast pace for a long period of time. But even in the early stages when I first started running, even when I got to a point where I could run at the pro level, I always started off at points where I would jog for a few minutes, then I would walk for a few minutes. Um, and then I would get to a point where I could literally run for several hours uh, and not have to stop. Okay, so be patient with yourself. Don't beat yourself up if you're spending too much time, especially in the early stages of your training build up, having to stop in workouts. Okay, if you're just starting, you're gonna have to expect that your fitness is not that great. Okay, you're either, especially if you're overweight or you're just in really bad aerobic shape, and especially to run at faster paces, it's going to be require a lot more out of you. And yes, you may have to stop in during your workouts, but just get to a point where you can jog for a few minutes and then walk for a few minutes and then maybe run for a few seconds. Okay, it may have to start off like that, and then you start focusing as you get fitter and fitter and fitter. Then having to stop will not won't be an issue anymore for you, because one, your heart's definitely not going to have to work as hard as it did in the early stages when you weren't as anaerobically or aerobically fit. Okay, and know that even the best runners in the world, okay, experience this. There's days where you're just not going to be feeling it. Okay, there's days where you have a specific workout in mind, you have a specific pace that you're either your coach or that you have fought, looked over your workouts and you want to run at that particular pace, and maybe you're off maybe 20 seconds per split, or per mile split, or per kilometer split, or maybe 5 seconds off, or whatever, but you're running much slower than planned. Just chalk that up as one additional workout that's going to get you closer to your goal. Okay, those, even the bad workouts, even the bad races, are still lessons that will teach us how to get to the next level that we're aiming for. Okay, great success does not come without setbacks and derails along the way. You're going to have ebbs and flows in training. There's going to be days where, like I said, you just don't have it. But again, do not lose your enthusiasm when you're out there training. There's going to be days where you do not have, and I'm speaking from experience, you do not have training partners to push you, to help you along doing those mile repetitions on the track, or maybe you're doing repeat 400s and you're out there by yourself, and maybe the weather sucks. Okay, I've been out there when it's pouring down rain. I'm out there doing repeat 800s on the track by myself with nobody to push me, nobody to hold me accountable. Okay, at the end of the day, it's about what you want. Okay, and if you don't have those support systems, you have to rely on your drive and your focus and your motivation. Okay, so keep these things in mind and know that, again, everybody starts off at square one. So don't lose don't lose your enthusiasm and feel like you're never going to get to a point where you can't run for a long period of time without stopping. Just make sure that you're consistently doing what you need to do strides twice per week, 5 to 6 100-meter strides. Okay, do those during your easy days. Gradually build up your volume. Okay, it might be you're only able to run 2 days a week, or maybe it's just walking and jogging 2 days a week, and then start getting to a point where, once as you get fitter, you start adding an additional day, getting to the point where you can add maybe an additional mile to that long run. Okay, so that's my answer in terms of how can I run longer without stopping. I hope this is helpful for you all, and if you have any questions or any topics you want me to cover in my next video, feel free to leave a comment below. If you're new to the channel, hit that bell icon and the subscribe button so when I make a new video, you'll be notified of it. And feel free to share this video with your friends that may be runners or trying to get in better shape. Hopefully that this channel will help them get to the next level in their goals, and hopefully surpass their particular fitness goals that they have in mind. So wish you all the best, and I'll talk to you in the next one.